Hi guys, I'm back with some stories, 3 stories that happened on the same night on October 16th, 2017. And this is a story that shows really well how the same state of being like in the alpha brain waves and in the vibrational state that we're all looking for when we're trying to astral project. And being in that state allows you to do more than just astral project. It's kind of like the sweet spot, right, for a lot of experiences. So the 3 experiences I have show that I went to 3 different realms with the same technique in the same night. And so this is going to help some of you see how that happens. And also for those who have the question, how do you convert a lucid dream into an astral projection or all these things, it kind of shows the technique to do that as well. I'm going to give more information where needed. So on that night, I do not have any notes to tell you how I prepared myself the night before. All I know is I was in a dream and I had been practicing astral projection a lot, doing reality checks and things like that. So in the dream, it wasn't the first time I had a lucid dream, but this one became lucid when I was in a room and I saw that a Kong. Do you guys know what a Kong is? If you guys have dogs, a Kong is like a rubber thingy that you put snacks in so that your dog can chew on the snack longer. And a Kong, I had a dog back then, we had Kongs, and so the Kong started flying across the room in my dream. And when I saw that, I immediately said, that's not possible, come on. And then I realized I was dreaming it. So I became lucid in a dream. When I became lucid in the dream, I snapped out of it right away. I don't practice lucid dreaming, but when it happens, I try to have an astral projection. So this time I didn't even have to apply a technique to wind back into my physical body and get out of it into the astral plane. But if some of you are wondering how you could do that, usually what I do is I start running or I gain some momentum in the dream, and I think about my physical body in my bed at home. So I'm in the dream, something's happening, I realize I'm lucid, oh, this is a dream, I gain momentum. So if I'm flying, I'm gonna fly super fast. If I'm standing, I'm gonna run super fast. If I'm in a car, I'm gonna drive super fast. So whatever you're doing in the dream, you have to gain speed or momentum, and you start to think about your astral body. And when you think about your physical body, so when you start to think about your physical body, you're gonna come back to your physical body. And as you're coming back, because your soul, spirit, astral body was in motion, it's going to continue to be in motion as you're getting back into your physical body, and it's going to be already getting out of your physical body. So that's usually how I do it. In this experience, I didn't even have to do that, because when I realized the Kong was flying and I said, oh, I'm in a lucid dream, I woke up. So I woke up in my bed. I was in the vibrational state. And when that happens to me, I always try right away to get out again. So if I wake up, even if it wasn't from a dream, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm in the vibrational state, I get out. I try to get out. And so that time coming back from the dream, I was vibrating. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get out. I got out. As I got out, I didn't get out into my bedroom, because you don't always get out in your bedroom. But that time when I got out, I kind of clicked out for a second. I opened my eyes and I was somewhere else that looked like just a normal small town, and I was in some neighborhood with some houses. But what was cool is my daughter was there with me and her boyfriend was there with me, and both of us, or all of us, were like, oh my God, yay, we're all here together. That's so cool. So we were in the astral together. All of us knew we were astral projecting together. And in case I forget to say this at the end, after this night, I spoke with my daughter the next day, and she remembered. She remembered this dream. For her, it felt like a dream. She remembered dreaming about me and her boyfriend at the time, and we were doing something in her dream, and it looked pretty similar to what I experienced. So that was pretty cool. Her boyfriend did not remember the dream or anything. So whatever. And so in the dream, we had a lot of, it felt like we were doing things like we're on a mission to do a lot of things while we're there. And so we were lucid the whole way. She went on her own with her boyfriend a few times. We kind of like did things on our own a few times and then would meet up. And basically what we were going was just going around the city and either helping people, asking questions, or just trying to get to know the place. So that lasted a while. And then at some point, I was knocking on a door. Yeah, my daughter was with me. Not sure if her boyfriend was still there. I don't have notes about the boyfriend, if he was beside us, but I wrote that we were together. So I mean, we were probably still all three together. I was knocking on a door. The door opened. For some reason, I had a cell phone in my hand and I was looking at it. I don't know why I had a cell phone in my hand, but I was using it in the astral because that wasn't even the first time I had used it in that astral projection. And when he opened the door, a man opened the door and he saw I was looking at my phone. He realized I'm not someone from around there. And he looked at me weird, and then I woke up. I consider that being kicked out of the astral because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Maybe that's not actually being kicked out, but that's happened a few times to me. And so I think that my cell phone gave it away that I'm not from there, and maybe he didn't appreciate. So I woke up in my bed again, like from when I woke up from my lucid dream in my bed. I was vibrating again after this astral projection. I was in my bed vibrating. I'm like, okay, and then I kind of got like, oh, cool, a third time, because that doesn't happen very often. For me, twice is good. 3 times is like, oh, I can do this again. But I had a list back then of things I wanted to do when I would get out, because that's always super important that you have a plan, because if you get out and you don't know what to do with yourself, usually you'll just get pulled back in and you'll lose the opportunity. So the dream had not been planned, obviously. The astral projection, I kind of wound up somewhere, so I couldn't really apply whatever plan I had. But this time I was coming out and I wanted it to be intentional with what I was going to do. So I really quickly thought, what's the next thing on my plan? And the next thing was I wanted to try to time travel. And so I was vibrating and thinking about my plan. Okay, I want to time travel. And then I realized, because as I was trying to decide what I was going to do, I just picked the first thing I remembered from my plan. You don't have a lot of time. You maybe have 10 or 15 seconds max to get out if you're finding yourself in the vibration state. So you don't want to waste time in your body thinking, oh, what did I want to do? Yeah, I would have done this, but then you can't do that because you're going to lose the state and it's going to be useless. So I thought really, really quick about the first thing that came to mind, time travel. But then I hadn't planned that out. Like, how am I going to attempt time travel? So on the spot, I'm like, oh my God, how do I do this? Okay, whatever. So I just asked a question in my mind, and the first question that popped up was, it wasn't a question, a sentence, or a demand, a command, or whatever. I asked, I want to see my first marriage. I thought that would bring me to a date in the future. And that was good enough to just start off a time traveling experience. So I was laying down, I was vibrating, and thinking, what am I going to do with this? Okay, I want to see my first marriage. And something really weird kind of happened is I was kind of coming out of my body, but then, the click out, and then I was almost like in a void. I wasn't horizontal, I was vertical, kind of like in a void. And there was someone standing right behind me. I think even her, I'm going to say her hands because I know as a female energy was even touching my shoulders behind me. And I was in a void, and I started to feel the shifting of time. And it was very obvious that's what was happening. It almost felt like, you know, when you watch a movie and they show like the calendars and the cartoons that are flipping over, the feeling that they do in the cartoons that they give us when they do those calendar flips in cartoons, the feeling you get, it kind of reminds me of that. Not the images of the calendar pages flipping, but the feeling you get of, oh yeah, time is moving forwards or backwards based on what you're seeing. And so I started to feel that. I started to feel time shift. I didn't see a calendar. I felt the time shifting. And then images started to appear. And the first image I don't quite remember. The second one, I wrote it down. And I remember this. I was shown, it was a piece of fabric. It was either a flag or a blanket on which had been engraved or sewn into, it was a sewing of some family crest or some coat of arms. And these were light blue with some white and some yellow. And when I saw them, I got super excited. I remembered these were my family's crest and whatever coat of arms. And I was super excited because I remembered this life, but the time had shifted not forward. I thought I was going to see a future marriage, right? And what happened is the time was shifting back. When I said I started to feel it, it was shifting back. And so I was remembering a past life, and these were my family's coat of arms, and they were sewn into a blanket, and that was my blanket or my flag or whatever. And I got really emotional when I saw it, really excited, remember them. And then the time was continuing to move, and the woman behind me was trying to narrate everything I was seeing. It was going so fast, and she was talking and telling me, and I was so mesmerized by like so many images, emotions, the feeling of time shifting, and her talking behind my back that I kind of couldn't really hear what she was saying. It was just too much was going on at the same time. Time was coming back. And so then it kind of started to slow down. The time shifting, it was slowed down, and then it stopped. I was in a year, a time, a moment in the past, and I was being presented with a document. It was like a sheet of paper. It wasn't like the paper we have nowadays for computers or stuff. It was, you know, kind of old style paper. And I started to read, and reading in the astral is really difficult. And I know that in the astral, time is not always what you want. So if you want a lot of time, you'll just get 3 seconds. So when I saw I had a document being presented to me, I wanted to skim through it really fast to make sure I understood what this document was about. And so the first thing I saw at the top of the document was a date, and the date was 1679, sorry. The date at the top of the document, handwritten, was 1679. And then I started to skim diagonally through the document, and I realized this was a marriage contract. And at the bottom of the document, it said that the marriage was kind of like certified or whatever. It wasn't certified, but it said it was under, and this was written in French, which is why it's hard for me to translate. I'll say it in French and then I'll tell you what it means in English. So it was written, sous le règne du roi des colons. Okay? So the roi des colons is the king of colonies. But it struck me when I was reading this because in French here, I live in the province of Quebec in Canada. And yeah, I'm from the place where we had New France, and you know, the king's daughters came here and got married to colonize New France. And so when we were colonies in French, we were called des colons. Here, the people that came to colonize New France were called colons. And nowadays, when we say someone is a colon, that means they're kind of dumb and stupid. And so we don't use that word in the same way here. When we say, oh, this person is a colon, we really mean like that's a dumb person, like doesn't have 100 watts in their brain, you know? And so when I read on the piece of paper, the king of colon, I thought that was super weird. Even after I woke up later, I'm like, why would they write the king of dumb people, you know? It felt like that couldn't have been what I read. And so it was written the king of colonies. So the marriage contract was at the bottom under the king of colonies. And then I could see some, like it looked like Roman numerals, but they couldn't have been because it was like IXIX. And so that's not a real Roman numeral, but that was written after the king of colonies thing. And basically, yeah, the woman was trying to explain behind me. I was reading, and after I finished reading that, I woke up in my bed. So that was the third experience. So if you see in the same night, I had a dream and became lucid. I came back to my physical body, awoke from the lucid dream in the vibration state, and at that moment, I hopped into an astral projection. So I got out of my body, not in my home, not on the lower planes. I just wound up at another location in the astral, met up with some people I know in real life. And then when I woke up from that astral projection, I was still in the vibration state and I still willed myself out of my body. But this time I kind of had like a time traveling / maybe Akashic records kind of experience, because the Akashic records, you don't always go there. Getting information about different situations is usually always information from the Akashic records. And because I did not travel to physical location, was just presented with objects and documents and stuff like that, I'm gonna qualify that more as an Akashic records experience. But it's, to those of you who want to say it's a time traveling experience, you can as well look at it that way. So in that experience, I was not located elsewhere except maybe very close to my body in a void. And then I woke up. So the technique was the same in the three experiences, is that, well, the second and the third experience is that if you find yourself in the middle of the night waking up, either from a dream or for no reason, you want to go pee, you know, so for some reason you wake up in the middle of the night and you're vibrating, that's a cue that you have an opportunity to try to get out of your body or experience something from that state. Like maybe ask a question to time travel or any other thing. Maybe you won't get out of body, but you'll get an Akashic Records experience, or maybe you'll time travel, or maybe you'll get out. So if you have a plan, you want to try things out, you can try this out almost every night. Just drink too much water, wake yourself up, and as you're waking up, try to get out. Of course, if you have to go pee, that's gonna make you have a shorter astral projection if you do get out of your body, because if your physical body has needs, it's harder to get out. So I hope you liked my story for today about these three experiences I had in one night back in 2017. And I hope that this information helps you to travel, either to go to the dream world, to astral planes, or to the Akashic Records, or even time traveling, or anything else. This could apply to a lot of other things too. So I'll see you in the next one.